simplex method. So let's continue with our discussion for simplex method. So what we were talking about, that we have a linear programming problem, say maximize C transpose X subject to the constraints AX equal to B, X greater than or equal to 0. So if there are two variables only, we can solve this problem by using graphical method. But if the variables are more than two, so then we cannot use the graphical method, and it is also not advisable to calculate all the basic feasible solutions. So we have to go for a systematic scheme, which we are calling a simplex method. So typically a table for a simplex method, what simplex method is, so corresponding to each corresponding to a BFS, okay, we construct a table called simplex table. Okay, so what is the structure of this simplex table is like, uh, suppose you have n variables. Okay, so the variables are x1, x2, x3, and so on up to xn. So out of these n variables, since we are constructing a basic feasible solution, so we write the basic variables out of these n variables here. So what are my basic variables is xb1, xb2 up to xbn. Okay, and the value of these basic variables is what we call the basic solution, and it is written as b inverse p. Okay, so we have to calculate b inverse p, we have to identify the basic variables, and then corresponding to each basic variable we are calculating a vector cb. Cb is what? Cb is the vector associated with the cost coefficients of these basic variables. So if I say I have my cj means, see, the cost of x1 is c1, cost of x2 is c2, x3 is c3, and cn. So since the basic variables are out of these n variables, so the cost of the basic variables is also corresponding to these basic variables. So if x1 is in the basis, so the cost of basic variable is c1, but we are writing it as cb1. Okay, similarly cb2 up to cbn. Okay, then the main part of this table, the main body of this table contains columns corresponding to each variables. So this whole structure which we are writing here is basically, this is my b inverse a. Okay, so in particular, if I'm talking about my first column, so I am calculating it b inverse a1. For second column, I am calculating b inverse a2, and so on up to b inverse an. So overall what I am doing is I am calculating b inverse times a. So b inverse time a is nothing but b inverse time if I multiply a1, a2 up to an. So these are the n columns. So b inverse a1 is in the first place, b inverse a2 is in the second place. So this is what we are writing here. Okay, then of course we defined that we defined another notation for b inverse aj is like alpha j. So alpha j is my b inverse aj. So one must note down that alpha j is not alpha power j. It is just the notation that it is b inverse multiplied with jth column is actually denoted by alpha j. Okay, so it is not a power, right? So alpha j is b inverse aj, and then we are calculating the another component called zj minus cj, which is nothing but b inverse times, say, alpha j minus cj. So this can also be written as like b inverse, what is alpha j? No, zj minus cj is not this. Let me correct it. Actually your zj minus cj is, so your zj minus cj is actually cb transpose multiplied with alpha j minus cj. Okay, because alpha j is b inverse aj, you can also write it in this form, cb transpose into b inverse aj minus cj. So cb transpose is basically this column vector, and transpose is basically row vector. row vector is multiplied with the column vectors. So you can take simply the dot product. So this is my CB transpose B inverse AJ, which is actually my ZJ component. And then you subtract this from CJ. Okay. Okay. So this CB multiplied by, say, alpha 1 minus E1 is my Z1 minus E1. So I write down this component here, Z1 minus E1. Then Z2 minus C2, Z3 minus C3, and so on up to Zn minus Cn. Okay, so this is the main structure of my simplex table. So what is simplex table? Simplex table actually represent your basic feasible solution. So in a basic feasible solution, what you were doing, so you were dividing the matrix A into what? A basis matrix and a non-basis matrix, right? And then you were similarly the base that all the variables were divided into two components, xb and xn, right? So then the system ax equal to b was nothing but bn multiplied by what? Xb xn. So this was equal to what? bxb plus nxn. So what is this? This is the basis matrix corresponding to basic variables. So this is what? This is the non-basic variables. Xn is the non-basic variables, and this is the matrix corresponding to the non-basic variables. Okay, so in order to calculate the basic solutions, what we were doing, we were putting xn equal to 0. Okay, so this implies that bxb, this was equal to right hand side because axb is this. So that means it was giving me what? bxb equal to small b, because xn is equal to 0. So my xb was nothing but b inverse b. So we were calculating my basic feasible solutions as this. Okay, but this simplex table is giving me much more information than this only, because you see here, I got a basic feasible solution or a basic solution here, which I am getting here. Okay, this component only. But these things, the column components and Zj minus Ej, we were not evaluating. But now, because what we are going to do, we are not going to evaluate all the basic solutions in order to find the optimal solution. But what we are going to do, we are going to find or calculate one basic feasible solution. Okay, and then corresponding to this basic feasible solution, we are going to identify the directions, that in which direction now we should move, that I get another basic feasible solution with an improved value of objective function. Okay, so in order to calculate those directions, I need the information about this, what is happening to the A matrix when I'm calculating this basic solution. Okay, so corresponding to this matrix, my whole structure, I'm calculating these alpha j's, I'm calculating zj minus cj's. Okay, so that means first of all, when you are constructing the table, you have to calculate alpha j's, you have to calculate zj minus cj, then you have to calculate the basic solution as what? B inverse b. Okay, and additionally, then finally you have to calculate my component theta j. Theta j was what? The minimum ratio rule. This is xb I upon alpha j. Alpha j is a jth column, ith component. So you divide the ith component of the basic variable with the ith component of the jth column, provided your alpha ji is strictly positive. Okay, so these are the few formulas that we will be calculating. Of course, one more thing we are going to calculate is the objective function value. Objective function value is what? It is my summation cj xj, because the non-basic variables are 0. So objective function value is calculated only in terms of the basic variables. So this is nothing but this is CB into XB. Okay, so you basically multiply this CB with this right hand side vector, you will get the objective function value at the current basic feasible solution. Okay, so these are few formulas that we will be calculating before we are going to construct the table. Okay, so next we are going to solve the problem like we started with this. Suppose I am given a problem that maximize x1 plus 2x2 subject to the constraints minus x1 plus x2 less than or equal to 1, then x1 plus x2 less than or equal to 2, x1 x2 greater than or equal to 0. right? So first we constructed this, the standard form corresponding to this problem. So my standard form was maximize x1 plus 2x2 subject to what? Minus x1 plus x2 plus s1 is equal to 1, then x1 plus x2 plus s2 is equal to 2, x1 x2 s1 s2 greater than or equal to 0. Now since I have added the slack variable, the contribution of these slack variables in my objective function is 0. So now this is my, so to construct the simplex table, what we need to identify the basic variables. Now again, as I discussed earlier also, that that choosing the basic variables is itself a big problem. As I was discussing, that if I choose x1 and x2 as my basic variables, so this is not going to give you a feasible solution. Okay, so this choice is not going to give you a feasible solution. Okay, then we will discuss this later on, how to choose the correct basic solutions. Okay, because we have solved this problem many times, let us choose x1 s1 as my basic variables. Okay, so first we will construct a simplex table corresponding to these variables. So if x1 s1 is basic variables, so what is my B matrix? So from here first we construct the A matrix. A matrix is the coefficient matrix, like, so this is minus 1 1 1 1 1 0 0 1. Okay, so what is my B matrix? B matrix is corresponding to the variables x1 and s1. So what are the columns? First column correspond to the variable x1, second x2, then s1 and s2. So since x1 and s1 are the basic variables, so my column for x1 is minus 1 1, column for s1 is 1 0. Okay, so then we will find the inverse. What is the inverse of this matrix is 0 1 1 1. You can always verify your inverse by simply calculating that B inverse B is always identity. So corresponding to each matrix B, there is a unique choice of this inverse B inverse. Okay, so you see at a quick glance that this actually is giving an identity matrix. You multiply first column by first row by first column is 1 0, then 0 again 1. So this is the correct inverse. Okay, now what we have to do is now to construct the simplex table. Okay, so we have 4 variables like x1 x2 s1 s2, and choice of my basic variable is what? Basic variables are my x1 and s1. Okay, so then what is here B inverse A1? So I calculate B inverse A1, which is nothing but 0 1 1 1 multiplied with what? Minus 1 1. So this will give you what? This gives me 1 0. So B inverse A1 is 1 0. Similarly, we calculate B inverse A2, which is 0 1 1 1 multiplied with what? Second column, the column of A2 is 1 comma 1. So this will give you what? 1 2. So my second column comes out to be equal to 1 2. Similarly, B inverse A3. A3 is my third variable, which is S1. So again 0 1 1 1 multiplied with what? 1 0. So this will give you what? 1 1 1. Yes. 1 1 0 1. This is 0 1. So this will give you 0 1. Similarly, what about B inverse A4 is nothing but 0 1 1 1 multiplied by 0 1. So this is again giving you what? This is giving you 1 1. So finally I got 1 1. Okay, then I have to calculate my right hand side vector. So this is my solution. What is my right hand side vector? Is my xb. Xb is what? B inverse small b. So what is B inverse small b? So this value comes out to be equal to what? 0 1 1 1 multiplied by small b is my right hand side vector, and right hand side vector is what you see from here. This is 1 comma 2. Okay, from here you see it is 1 comma 2. So we multiply it 1 comma 2. So what we get? we get as 2, 3. So my solution is 2, 3. So basically my complete solution is what? It is basic components and non-basic components. So basically my solution is 2, 0, 3, 0 is my basic feasible solution. Okay, but only 2, 3 is represented here, and it is assumed that we know that the non-basic variables are taking 0 value, so there is no need to mention it anywhere. Okay, so only the variables which are depicting here are having the value 2 and 3. Rest of the variables are non-basic variables, are having 0 value, and the complete vector is represented as this, where non-basic variables are taking 0 value. Okay, next we will be calculating the Zj minus Ej. So for Zj minus Ej, first we will write the cost coefficient. What is the cost coefficient of x1 in the objective function? You see, cost coefficient of x1 is what? 1. So this is 1. And cost coefficient of s1 in the objective function is what? 0. So we write 0 here. Okay. So what is my z1 minus c1? My z1 minus c1 is what? This is cb transpose alpha 1 minus c1. Remember, alpha 1 is what? Alpha 1 is what? It is my b inverse a1. Similarly, this is my alpha 2 is b inverse a2. Similarly, alpha 3 is b inverse a3, and alpha 4 is this. So you can use either b inverse a4, or if you use the word alpha 4, this is one and same thing. So I'm using alpha 1 just for the sake of notation. Okay, so what is cb transpose? Cb transpose is 1, 0, okay, multiplied with alpha 1 is what? 1, 0 minus c1. Okay, let us write cj here. So cj is 1, 2, 0, 0. These are basically the cost coefficient of each variables from here, 1, 2, 0, 0. So I'm writing it here. Okay, so what is my zj minus z1 minus c1? So substitute the value of cb. It is 1, 0 multiplied by alpha 1 is first column, minus c1 is 1. So this value comes out to be equal to what? 1 minus 1, 0. So you substitute 0 here. Similarly, we calculate z2 minus c2. So this is equal to cb transpose alpha 2 minus c2. So what is z2? Again 1, 0. cb is fixed, but alpha 2 is changed. So it is 1, comma 2, because second column I am taking here alpha 2 minus c2. c2 is how much? 2. Minus 2 is equal to what? So you multiply here 1 minus 2. This value comes out to be minus 1. So we put minus 1 here. Similarly, Z3 minus C3 is what? This is CB transpose alpha 3 minus C3. So again 1 into 0 multiplied with third column. This is 0, 1 minus the cost coefficient of third variable is 0. So this value comes out to be equal to 0, 0, 0. So this value is 0. Similarly, we calculate Z4 minus C4. So this is CB transpose alpha 4 minus C4. This is 1, 0 multiplied by 1, 1 minus 0. So the value comes out to be 1 minus 1 is 0. So this value comes out to be 1. So now we have our required simplex table, and what is the objective function value? I write here. So objective function value is my CB transpose into XB. So what is XB here? XB is 2, 3. So this is equal to what? 1, 0 multiplied with what? 2, 3. So this value comes out to be equal to 2. So Z value comes out to be equal to 2. Okay. So this is my present objective function value. Now we have the main question. So I chose one choice of basic variables, and I found the basic solution here. And I have all the requisite information about all the columns and Zj minus Ej. Now I'm going to see whether there is a possibility to improve this objective function value. That means, is it possible that there exists another basic feasible solution which gives a larger objective function value than the one I have obtained at this present solution, which is 2. Okay, so as I discussed earlier also, we had a formula called z hat is equal to z minus theta j into zj minus cj. Okay, So this is nothing, zj minus cj. Okay, so z hat is actually my new objective function value which I want to obtain at a new basic feasible solution. So this formula also indicates whether there exists such a basic feasible solution which gives me a value z hat such that z hat is more than z. Okay, so z hat is more than z. So this is possible only if there is some zj minus cj which is negative, because if zj minus cj is negative, so present value is 2, theta j, as I told, is always non-negative quantity. So if I add some quantity to z, I get z hat. But how I can add, that is possible only if zj minus cj is negative. So minus minus plus. So if zj minus cj is negative for some non-basic variable in a simplex table, that gives the indication that there exists a basic feasible solution which can give you objective function value more than 2. And we got this indication here. So that means if I got such indication, that means here is the choice of that j for which zj minus cj is negative. You enter that variable into the basis and it will improve the value of objective function. So what we do, we now going to enter this variable into the basis. Okay, but presently I have two variables x1 and s1. So if x2 is going to enter in place of x1 or s1, so then we have to see which one of them have to be removed, right? So for that, to check the entering variable, we have the choice from where the zj minus cj is negative. One more thing you may note here, that for this non-basic variable zj minus cj is -1. Say for instance for s2, if this value was -2, then I would have chosen s2. Why? Because in that case this quantity was more negative. So this was more negative means I am adding more to z to improve z hat, right? So in that case I will be entering the most negative zj minus cj, because that will give me larger improvement in the objective function value. So if there are more than one non-basic variables who have zj minus cj is negative, then I can choose the one which is having a larger negative value. But in total I can otherwise I can choose the one for which this product is actually most negative, right? Because if it is most negative, I will have a larger improvement. Okay, but for the sake of simplicity, I am taking only zj minus cj. Okay, if zj minus cj is negative, we enter. If it is more negative, we will choose that one. I'm coming to those problems in few minutes, right? Next question is, which variable has to leave the basis? Okay, so for leaving variable, I have the formula. So um, for leaving variable, right, I will be using the formula that I'm calculating the component theta j, which is equal to what? This is minimum of what? Again, as I said, xbi upon alpha ji, such that alpha ji is strictly positive. Now let us see what are these components. So xbi, I is for this is my xb1, this is my xb2, and this column is what? My alpha j, which is alpha 2 column, right? So we are going to take the ratio of xbi with this chosen alpha j. So xb1 upon alpha 2 1, xb2 upon alpha 2 2. So I am going to take the minimum of the ratio of what? 2 upon 2 upon what correspondingly? This variable 1, right? And 3 upon what correspondingly? This variable 2. So 2 upon 1 and 3 upon 2. Why? Because both of them are positive and they are satisfying my condition. Okay, so what is the minimum value? So minimum value comes out to be equal to what? Minimum value comes out to be equal to 3 by 2. Okay, right? Okay, so 3 by 2 occurs where? 3 by 2 occurs at the second variable. So that means my leaving variable is what? My leaving variable is s2. So that means my s2 will leave the basis. Okay, now here is the point. So that means x2 is going to enter the basis, s1 is going to leave the basis. So my new basic solution, so that means my new basic variables would be x1, x2, right? Because s2 has been replaced by x2. Okay, so now what we have to do, we have to follow the same procedure then. So what you are going to do, you choose the basic variables x1, x2, then again you construct the basis matrix corresponding to x1, x2. What is the basis matrix? So the columns of x1 is minus 1 1, columns of x2 are what, 1 1. Again you are going to calculate B inverse. Okay, so again you are going to calculate alpha j and you are going to calculate this table, right? But now I want to tell you that once you have constructed this table, right, and you have all the information about x2, that which of the variable is entering and which of the variable is leaving, then you need not calculate all these things again, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to do now use some row operations, which we call the pivot operation you have studied earlier, to construct the next table. Now let us calculate that. Now please be careful while I'm going to explain this thing. Now you observe something here. See, if x1 is in the bases, right? So if x1 is in the bases, you check the column for x1. It is 1 and 0 here. If s1 is in the bases, you calculate the value here 1 and all other elements in that column is 0. Okay, for x1 also, if this value is 1, all other elements in this column is 0. So for basic variables, we have this property that only one element is 1, all of the other elements are 0. This is by virtue of my row transformations. Okay, so what I'm going to do, if I'm going to enter x2 in place of s1, so that means this quantity 2, this should not be 2, it should be 1, and all these quantities or all these elements have to be made 0. So what we are going to do is we are going to construct a new table by using row operations, where we will make this entry as 1 and we will make these entries as 0. So once x2 is x2 here and we are making these entries 0, so I will get my next simplex table. And you see the simplex table will be exactly same as you are getting by using these row operations. Okay, so let us calculate the new simplex table by using the row transformations. So you see here my x1, x2, s1, s2. So from here you see 2 is my pivot element. So what row operation I'm going to use is, because I am going to make this entry as 1. So what you do, you divide row 2 by 2 so that this entry will become 1. So my operation is what? Row 2 goes to what? Divide row 2 by 2. Okay, so what happens? This entry will become 1. And because s1 is now removed from uh, basis and x2 has been replaced by this, so I have my new basis as what? X1 and x2, right? Because s1 has been removed now. So if I divide each element of this row by 1, so what I am getting here is, you see, this is 0, this is 1, again 1 by 2, 1 by 2, and right hand side is 3 by 2. So I directly got my row. Okay, next I have to make this entry as 0. Why? Okay, so how I'm going to make this entry as 0? By using the same pivot operation. So using this as we were doing in the row reduced echelon form, that use this as a pivot element and make this element as 0. So how I'm going to do? So first I am dividing this row by 2 and then I am subtracting this from row 1. So my operations are what? So my row 1 goes to what? This is row 1 minus row 2 by 2, because when I'm dividing row 2 by 2, I get my pivot element as 1 and this is also 1. So I subtract from row 1. So what I'm getting here is, so my values are what? 1, 1 minus 0 by 2 is what? It is 1. Okay, so then 1 minus 2 by 2 is what? 0. Then my third entry is 0 minus 1 by 2, because I am dividing second row by 2 and then subtracting from here. So 0 minus 1 by 2 is what? This is minus 1 by 2. And thirdly, 1 minus 1 by 2 is what? 1 by 2. And then 2 minus 3 by 2 is how much? So 4 minus 3, this is 1 by 2. Okay, and you can even calculate the zj minus cj row also in the same way by using the same pivot operation. In that case, what we have to do is we have to make this as 0. So what we are going to do, we are dividing this by 2 and adding this to the 0th row. So I call the Zj minus row 0th row as 0th row. So I can write it as rho naught plus rho 2 by 2. You can see here. So I divide this row by 2. So my pivot element becomes 1. And when I add it to the 0th row, this element will become 0. Okay. So, and I apply the same operation on all the elements of that row. So what I'm getting, so 0 plus 1 by 0 by 2 is 0. So my first entry is what? This is my 0. This is again 0. What about this entry? So this comes out to be 0 plus 1 by 2. So this is 1 by 2. And thirdly, if I get 1 plus 1 by 2, so this value comes out to be equal to 3 by 2. So you see I have calculated my Zj minus Cj. You can even calculate by using the formula for Cb also. Let's see how we are calculating in that way. So what is this Cb? The cost coefficient of x1 is 1. The cost coefficient of say x1 is 1 and the cost coefficient of x2 is 2 in the objective function. So let us multiply it. And what is my Cj? It is 1, 2, 0, 0. And you see, you multiply this column with this column, what you get? 1, 1 minus 1 is 0. So you got the correct entry. Again, for this one, 1, 2 is multiplied by 0, 1 is what? 2, 2 minus 2 is 0. Again, the correct entry. What about third one? 1, 2 is multiplied by this column. What you get? Minus 1 by 2 plus 2 by 2 is what? 1 by 2. 1 by 2 minus 0 is 1 by 2. Again, the correct entry. And for third one is 1 by 2 plus 2 by 2 is 3 by 2. 3 by 2 minus 0 is 3 by 2. You got the same thing. So either you can go by row operation to calculate Zj minus Cj, or you can use directly the formula Cb transpose alpha j minus Cj, as we were doing here in the above table. What is the value of Z
सर
then?
एक
Okay,
एक डाउट है सर
I will explain
सर
later
डाउट
on.
ये है कि
करते हैं बाद में बात, अभी वेट करो. Okay, so then what is your objective function value here? So objective function value is you multiply Cb with your solution, right? Cb into xp, you see here. So what is the value of, either you can put this value in the objective function or you just simply multiply this thing. What you get? This is 1 by 2 plus 6 by 2 is 7 by 2. So objective function value is what? 7 by 2. And you see this is the same value which we had predicted earlier, okay, in this formula. So what is the predicted value here is what you see. The present value is 2 minus what was the theta j? Theta j was 3 by 2. And what is the Zj minus Cj? That was minus 1. So what is this value? So this is 2 plus 3 by 2. So this value is again 7 by 2. So this was our prediction here, that if we enter x2 into the bases and use and leave s1 with this theta j, my next value of my basic feasible solution will be 7 by 2, which is actually more than 2. So that's why we took this step, and finally we see that we are able to construct that basic solution, which is giving me actually 7 by 2 value, right, which is more than the previous one, and I have a basic feasible solution. Now the next question is this value optimal? Okay, is this an optimal solution? So we saw the formula that z hat is equal to z minus theta j into zj minus cj, right? So we have observed that this z hat will be more than z hat will be more than z if and only if my zj minus cj is strictly less than 0. Okay, that's what we have observed above. Okay, but you see in this present table that all zj minus cj's are greater than or equal to 0. So if I enter any one of this value is positive, and the z hat will be what? It is z minus this positive value, means my present value will decrease if I enter any of these variables. So that means at this moment there is no more possible choice of direction or possible variable, non-basic variable, which I can enter into the basis so that my objective function value can improve. That means my present table is the best table. I have no more option to improve this. So the answer is yes. This is an optimal solution. So my optimal solution is what? So my optimal solution is what? X is equal to what? 1 by 2, 3 by 2, 0, 0. Actually my basic feasible solution, and Z value is what? 7 by 2. So this is my optimal, in fact, optimal basic feasible solution. So optimal basic feasible solution. Okay, so we'll stop over here. So whenever we have all the Zj minus Cj's are greater than or equal to 0, we stop. Otherwise, we keep on entering and leaving with the previous rule that we enter the one for which Zj minus Cj is most negative. We leave the one for which that theta j is the minimum ratio rule for theta j follows, right? So we keep constructing until we have this condition satisfies that Zj minus Cj's are greater than or equal to 0. So if Zj minus Cj's are greater than or equal to 0 for all non-basic variables, or in fact for all j, because for basic variables we will always get the value 0. So this will be homework also, why for basic variables I am getting this value 0. So if Zj minus Cj is greater than or equal to 0 for all xj, okay, then the current basic solution is an optimal basic solution, an optimal basic feasible solution. Okay, mind it, this is for maximization case. This is for maximization case. So this is what we what I call is my optimality criteria. So what is my optimality criteria? If for a maximization case, Zj minus Cj's are greater than or equal to 0 for all xj, or for all the variables, then the present table depicts an optimal basic feasible solution. Okay. For minimization case is what? So for minimization case, Zj minus Cj is less than or equal to 0 for all j equal to 1 to n, then the current table depicts an optimal basic feasible solution for a minimization type problem. Okay. So this is the optimality criteria. Okay. So this was all about the simplex method.